is now the tallest building anywhere in the world that was designed by a female architect. So we're very proud to have that right here in Chicago. And we're going to see the building that gang initially broke that record back in 2010. It's called Aqua, and that one is coming up momentarily. So if you look towards the top of that third one's right there, so just take a look on that one. And now you can really see that shape of the Swiss tie as well. And then once we emerge here, now it's eerily quiet, but it's going to get loud and rowdy out here. Chicagoans take it to the limit when they finally get that nice weather. So now you see all that West End, no windows, and hopefully no distractions. Chewing gum fame, and a long-standing tradition is building lights up every evening, a brilliant. And then continuing on the right side, you will notice Trump Tower coming up, complete back in 2009. Currently the second tallest building in the city. This is another Adrian Smith design. Smith, formerly of Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, now running his own architectural firm. This is a great example of postmodern contextualism. Remember contextualism of building taking cue here, and then coming up next door on the right side, the banner was known for saying less is more, and that is going to be reflected in all of his designs. This is actually Vandermeer's very last building was complete in 1971, about a year after his death, so he never saw the complete construction on his space. Next to each other along the Chicago River, showing very disparate styles. Vandermeer worked primarily with writing lists, as you see here, but Chicago did not, as you will see. In the towers, you would have your home, parking, office space, dry cleaner, daycare, grocery store, everything you needed would be contained, so conceptually you would never have to leave. I know this is an old reference, but in the original Bob Newhart show, this is where his character lived, in William Towers. And then if we shift over to the left for just a moment, you'll notice this Riverwalk is now moving underneath our bridges on Ernesto. They will be taking it down the South Branch next, allegedly. I've been saying this for years, so that is the plan. So you no longer have to walk up and over the bridges at this very seamless Alice Point. If you haven't already done so, take a stroll along the Riverwalk before you leave town. It's another great way to see the city. Tiny tap over here on your left, you have everything, cafe, bar, and restaurant. Actually doesn't look very crowded today if you want to check that out after the tour. About a 10-minute walk from our So remember, this red brick, that is there for style reasons only. All of the support is coming from the steel skeleton, so without buildings like this, we wouldn't have all of these incredibly tall buildings that you see all around you. Not only here in Chicago, but anywhere in the world. The skyscraper was born, invented, right here in Chicago with buildings just like this one.
The Chicago School.
For 4 million square feet. This place is humongous. That's how much it is. Okay, so look just up ahead. Now you can really see that ornamentation up there, and look up ahead to your right. Those brown sculptures facing the mark, they look like giant Prince dispensers. These are the Merchant Princes. Complete back in 1929, commissioned by the Marshall Field Company. Initially, it was a wholesale furniture operation, and then once we moved under the bridge, and this building is so big, it has its own zip code. There you go.
Nagaanchi reflection दिसते. Nagaanchi reflection दिसते.
These towers are due to sun exposure, so all the windows that you see were not originally there, and that building was known as the world's largest high-rise basement. It wasn't until the Sun Times moved in and the function of the building changed that they punched in all those windows. And then just at the upright position, that every single bridge you have or will see along the tour this afternoon, with one exception, does open. And this is to accommodate many things, one of them being all the sailboats. You might have noticed them on the lake. They're much too tall to fit under. The bridge that that mental image in your head so you know what I'm referring to a little bit later. The River Cottages, Rare Space, and the City of Chicago. And now we are, commerce was shut down for an entire week, $1 billion in damages. Everyone was okay, but there's a lot of very strange things that happened, occurred, originated right here at Kinzie Street Bridge. Over here on your right side, blue and gray structure, this is called the East Bank Club. 1970s, a great example of brutalism. Brutalism refers to raw exposed materials, not trying to hide or mask materials used in the construction of the space construction. This particular area of the city has gone through tremendous change in relatively recent years and moved from being an industrial warehouse district into what is now called Urban 1. At this point, when we move in,
Well loud India.
moving in for all the space and cheap rent, we began to pollinate this artistic culture. So over time, more people want to live in this area and it completely transforms. So if you look just up ahead to your right, across the bridge, you see that red brick building. That is one of those old industrial warehouses that has been transformed into modern residential space. And this is high-end, grand luxury space, beautiful homes in here. The dead giveaway of that conversion are the balconies suspended off the side of the building. Those were added many years after the original construction, and there's a term for this.
Balcony suspend करेंगे.
This is going to sound
Balcony.
to you. I'm not making this up. It's a real term. It's called the balkanization of Chicago.
Balkanization बता दो.
Exactly this. And you're going to see the balkanization all over the city, especially now that you're aware of it, you're going to notice it everywhere. So if you're out exploring, like, this is not intended to be residential, but became so exciting over the years. So this old conversion warehouse here, and then coming up next door on your right side will be 5 modern residential towers overlooking the city. Dark glass, modern, taper design, 2 antennas at the top. And the reason I'm pointing this out, even though it's so far away, it is significant. The John Hancock building is the 5th tallest building in the city, and I keep doing this, so I really need to get out of this habit. For years, I've been recommending go up to the 95th floor to the Signature Room bar, one of these bars, and you will be mechanically tilted forward 30 degrees, just hanging out over the city, and then it will slowly raise it back up. So that is still an option. And yellow hue, something you'll see more and more in contemporary design, contemporary architecture, this integration of brighter, non-neutral colors. Art Deco house.
Balcony के लिए.
Draw your eyes up. There is some light ornamentation up there. This is 16-foot tall ceilings in these units. A corner, and you will see the Spirit of Progress. She is a lovely lady and a poignant representative of this area of Chicago where the Spirit of Progress is alive and well. So you'll see her right up there once we emerge. There she is. Just a really great piece of art. And if you miss her, there she is. If you're under the canopy or anything like that, I'll point her out again when our captain turns the boat around. I just really like that vantage point. And then over here on your right side, 1872, that business model, unheard of. I mean, his first catalog that year, just one page. People are very skeptical because it's such a long building. People who work from Montgomery Ward would travel back and forth on roller skates in more time and energy efficient. And I mentioned before, and again, I'm sure a lot of you know this, Montgomery Ward did go out of business back in 2001 after 129 years, and since then, the space has been transformed into residential, commercial, and office space. Over to your right, this is all called Bruce Island. Bruce Island is a man-made island, a planned manufacturing district. Big idea of our very first mayor, William Butler Ogden. Very few to the city of Chicago, and as a result, all these laborers working, living in very close proximity, not making a lot of money. This area became known as Little Hell for years, where it transformed into something totally different over time. So right now, there are all these proposals for Goose Island, and they keep changing, so I'm not really sure of the exact status. I know there's a proposal for a giant casino and resort to be constructed here. Mixed feelings about that in the city. This building to your right, I've been saying for years, we're going to demo this in the relatively near future, this giant brick. this neighborhood on River North is a little bit pricey, so coming up on the right, just across the bridge would be a red brick modern residential development. These are high-end buyers in these homes, and the city would have made a little compromise for residents of this space. So anytime there is a development constructed along the river's edge, you have to include a riverwalk portion in front of ordinance, and you'll see they've done that here. But this portion of the riverwalk that's coming up on your right side is unique because during you like to walk along here, you have to do it during park hours unless you happen to live here. And if you like to live here, if any of these were listed on the market, last I checked is probably about a year ago, maybe almost a year ago, but fairly current. I saw the lowest of these at that time listed at about 500,000. Saw the highest going for about 2.2 million. Just to give you an idea of some of the real estate's going for in this area, River North is a bit pricey. The river cottages are rare, unique, coveted space, not exactly what you would expect to see. They're all 4 units, respectively 5 and 6 stories tall. Every floor of every unit has its own private balcony. 1988, Mary Louise Swiss Hotel Guide. You'll see that signature triangular design incorporated. And because this is such rare space, 3 of the 4 units are still occupied by the original. There on the right, you can all decide what you think the river cottages.
समोरची वाय सेफ्टी बिल्डिंग
Old cold storage warehouse of the stars recently through a major renovation to become residential. This building is frozen solid. They had to wait 6 months for it to thaw. Once it thawed, they resumed the renovation. They found some strange materials insulating a lot of animal waste to capitalize on what used to be an unobstructed river entry. So let's all take a look. So as you can see, things have changed very drastically in the last 2 years. But after that, the building went up for a while. I could say this, at the very least, these few tenants on the south end of the riverbed still have this wonderful view coming up on your left, the bed below. This one just happened. So at this point, anyone who lives or works over here, their views and light at the very least compromised, if not totally obstructed. So there's a really great window on your left, which is still late at this point for taking photos, or you just want to take a look. It is a beautiful view of the city. Side, just across the bridge, 150 North Riverside, 2017. Fairly new. Once you're under the bridge, take a really good look at the space and check it out on the corridors. That's the L, by the way. I feel like you know that, but just in case. L is short for elevator. Check this building out on the right. So 150 North Riverside tends to make people a little bit nervous, and we all see why that is. Very narrow at the base, very heavy at the top. It gives you the impression that it could topple over fairly easily in a strong wind. But you have to put your faith in the engineers, architects, ironworkers. They all know what they're doing. It is structurally sound. It's not going to tip over. Even though that cantilever construction makes it look like a giant top-heavy house. I've not seen anything quite like this. Such a great insane design. There's a central concrete wall that goes 125 feet down into the bedrock to support that structure. Next door, building. Once we emerge here, look to your right side, that second flag in. That is the Chicago flag. Such a popular symbol, it's all over the place. The Chicago flag is comprised of 4 red stars, which represent major events in Chicago's history. Battlefield Dearborn, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, and the 2 World's Fairs hosted here. Very different. At this point, as you know, it can cost you millions of dollars to develop in the downtown area. Not always the case. The river used to very much amenities, hotels, as well. They designed this building for what the river would become. As the house was now in 1921, really embracing the and then once you go underneath this bridge, if you look off to your right, this will be directly behind the Daily News. You'll see glass water designs. You see it right back there once more. Just look at the architectural and Chicago communities. So we'll see blue glass waterfall barriers and at least one more of its designs along the tour. Over here on your right side beneath the buildings, just on the side of the top on your right, this is Gateway Center's Gateway 1. First in a series of 4 buildings moving along the South Branch, Gateway 2. Coming up next door on your right, pretty much identical, Skidmore, Owings, and Maryland. People like to call pre-Valley Base because so many of the designs are influenced by new standards. They were not the only ones. Yes, influenced architects from all over the world, hence modern or international style, but they took some creative license, understand the construction behind his design, so generally they're very dark in color. And then connect to the Gateway 3. Up ahead on your right, short black glass, X bracing on the outside. This is a slot reinterpretation of the John Hancock building. Remember we saw the Hancock earlier, is really far away, 5th tallest in the city. This was designed to look like all of that support is coming from the outside of that structure. Like an ice cream, you see that little bit, and underneath the surface, bam, it just keeps going and going. A few years back, and we see this building still in disarray. That is because up until very recently, this building had been vacant for over 20 years. The only use it had seen during that time was the filming of The Dark Knight. Owned this building for a number of years, eccentric business to Mr. Davies unexpectedly sold the building out of nowhere. In a very bizarre turn of events, hours after the sale was finalized, Mr. Davies died. So in the snap of a finger, the multi-level design of the old post office became obsolete as technology changed and we got there. And from here on your right, this is our new fire and official sense of the model. So at this point, we cannot be 100% certain of the exact pinpoint origin of the fire, but we do. The skyscraper is becoming a very new possibility. So architects from all over the world are flocking to Chicago, viewing this city as a clean slate, and we started to build ourselves back up quickly, bigger, better than before, and that's where we got one of the popular nicknames, the second city. So you're seeing all around you is essentially the second Chicago. There are some misconceptions behind our nicknames here with this one. A lot of people like to joke or actually do. I put my microphone down. I had to take a lap around the boat. I could not compose myself for the rest of the tour, and I really do hope he's doing well. He's had a great impact on my life, and I think about him every single day that I'm out here. This building that's coming up pretty much straight up ahead of you right now, but soon to be over to your right. This is called River City, curved building with the curved windows. Does it look at all familiar to you or strike you? Do you remember the 4 o'clock towers that we saw very early on? Same guy, same idea, city within a city, though this was complete about 25 years after the towers in 1989. City within a city, why is it so tiny? This was phase 1. It did we have this brand new obstruction, this giant residential tower jutting out to the water, and then once you're past that, honestly not even the worst culprit, are these 2 short little residential towers that went up about 2 years ago. They just started wreaking havoc on this beautiful view. So you have to sort of work with me. The buildings will slowly reveal themselves and you'll sort of get the view eventually. So look straight past that new construction. On the right, in the distance, you'll see that dark gray building. Light gray balconies of various sizes. That is a residential tower. It has some nicknames. I've heard Chicagoans call it Root. This will actually be the oldest building I talk about on the tour today, 1912. And remember, Beaux-Arts or Neoclassicism influenced by ancient Grecian or ancient Roman architecture. Again, that is how Daniel Burnham represented Chicago at the World's Fair of 1893 buildings. Very similar to that. People ask those buildings are still around from the fair. They are not. Temporary structures not built. This is insane. Jetta Tower, designed by Adrian this view essentially looks building where it sits along the water. So it's kind of this big "you are here" map and a fun, whimsical piece of passengers is so cool. Awesome, loved it, thumbs up. Conversely, terrifying, never again, and I see a lot of heads rapidly shaking out after I asked if you're not into heights. This will not be my personal recommendation to you. Plenty of fun things to do. Even if you can't physically feel yourself swaying back and forth, go into the bathrooms, look at the toilets, and you'll see that outdoor height, while an antenna that serves an actual function will not. So we lost about 200 feet off the overall height of Sears back in the 90s. Mercantile Exchange on your right side, and the theater that takes place inside the building. Pacific Opera is nicknamed Incense Throne for several reasons. It looks like a giant throne, which is a little bit hard. And the architects at Graham, Harrison, Coates, and White felt that Winston was a very keen art character. Refined gentleman from England. For all those reasons, they called it Incense Throne. This was complete back in 1929. Currently housing the Lyric Opera, seats about 3,500 people. It's a beautiful building inside and out. Brand new construction. Bank of America will be taking up the majority of the space assigned by Getch and Carlos. Standing at just about 800 feet tall, this is a really big change. The building that used to be on this plot of land, not used to on this plot of land, 2 stories, and now we have 800 feet. So the building that used to be like the Bauhaus building, I loved it. It had this really great feature. It had this rippled stainless steel moving horizontally across the side. One day, I came out and gave it to these radical, drastic changes in downtown Chicago. So I do like to pretend to take credit for that, sort of just give her something so she'll quit talking about it every single day. I was relentless. Over here on the right, that red brick. Another example of that Chicago school style, remember, paving the way to the modern skyscraper. And now we'll be heading back through Wolf Point and back up the main branch. Okay, so if we shift over to the left and look straight, and then once we move underneath this bridge, if you look over to your right, now if you focus on the flat roof, beneath the mansard portion, you're going to notice it lines up perfectly with the arms of the building up ahead of it next to LaSalle Wacker. You'll see this better once we're closer. But LaSalle Wacker is a classic Art Deco. Arms sticking out, it looks like a giant chair over the top. This is why so many decos in Chicago have that chair shape. And the right perfect example. You go inside, the buildings can be as tall as you like. There was no limit to the overall height, as long as you included a setback at specifically designated heights along the way. So if you look, about 2/3 of the way up where those arms are sticking out, that was the height of the first setback, and that is why the builder's building, that flat roof, lines up with that arm perfectly. And running higher at the top of that. On the right side, once we emerge here. So that chair shape is not inherently deco, it's a Chicago. So 77 Horse Wacker is a postmodern take on the Greek Parthenon in much taller proportions. Sleek postmodern design, one of beautiful Art Deco design. It looked like a giant champagne bottle, that was the intent. Formerly the Carbide and Carbon building. And then for many years, the Hard Rock Hotel. A few years back, it was renamed St. Jane Chicago. And then about a year ago, it was renamed again Kendrick. And then a little bit closer to us on the right side, the Jewelers Building with that large dome, top and center. Smaller domes in the corners. Striking neoclassical design. That large dome top and center on the Jewelers Building formerly was the Stratosphere Lounge, which did serve as a unload the precious cargo out on the street. For that very same reason, perfect spot for that speakeasy. Discreetly drive in, be lifted up, drive right back out. No questions asked. Next door on the right, across the bridge, Nestled in between the Royal Sonesta and London House is another tower, very slender, tapered design. Next door, all glass, London House, and a really great rooftop deck up there. If you're looking for that rooftop experience while you're in town, this is a great option for you. It's really easy. Just walk into the lobby, you'll send you up the elevator. Once you're up there, grab something to drink, something to eat, and the views are wonderful. And then on the edge, concave curve and heavy ornamentation. Those are columns, griffins, urns, beautiful space. The London Guarantee is a favorite among many Chicagoans, and as we're moving closer, all that ornamentation will be revealed. If you decide to go up to the London House roof, these are connected. So generally, there's a gazebo on top of the Guarantee. You'll see it in a moment. Generally, you can take a walk under that as well, so you get a pretty good scope from up there. There's the gazebo. And then for the duration of the tour, as we are coming to a close here pretty soon, we focus over to your left. Coming up on your left, many people felt this design was too retroactive to be the winner of that contest, but at this point, Tribune Tower is one of the most beautiful, beloved buildings in the city of Chicago. It has just become residential, very unexpected. It just underwent this major renovation. Could you imagine that? From historical structures from all over the world, to pieces of the Berlin Wall, Great Wall of China, Roman Colosseum, Parthenon, about 160 pieces stuck into the building. They're all labeled to know exactly where they come from. If you're in the neighborhood, worthwhile to check out. And then over here on your left, NBC Tower again. I have a confession to make. Many years ago, I had the rare pleasure of working for Mr. Springer as a production assistant, so I met a lot of very interesting people inside NBC Tower during my time there. That has prompted many passengers to ask for what will be the Sheraton Hotel to be very important people safe and secure.
असं त्रिकोणी सारखं दिसतं ना.
There's our other boat. Okay, so coming up on your left side, I feel sad that I'm still talking about this in this regard, but this is a bit up ahead of us. You're going to see that construction off, and there were signs all around that said it was shut down temporarily. Actually working on it, but it does seem like they are entertaining the idea of renovating it. And I really hope they do soon, because I know people really miss it, and it is significant. Since we didn't quite make it to Chinatown, we were pretty close, so we've seen almost 4 neighborhoods in the last 90 minutes or so. East of Lakeshore, feel free to look around. There are no other high-rise. And you'll see at the base of the building that it is standing on stilts. That would be one of those loopholes that I was referring to, as the building is technically not on the ground, so that's how that works. And then at the very top, that circular structure, that was a restaurant. It was called City Lounge. Along to the right, of course, Navy Pier, very close walk from our rooftop. And I do have one more very important person to tell you about as we're coming to a close. Make your way back to Ogden Slip. You can't see it yet, but once you clear that glass building to your left, you will be able to see Tribune Tower again. Remember, it has the cathedral at the very top. This great understanding of the potential of this particular area of the Midwest. And he went on to write the Chicago Plan of 1909. The idea behind the plan was basically to make the city more beautiful, more efficient. Burnham wanted the idea and the aesthetic of Chicago to shift from meet practical challenge where he said, make no little plans where they have no magic to stir one's blood. So go out.
Starbucks. NBC Tower. स्विस हॉटेलची बिल्डिंग अशी त्रिकोणी शेपची आहे आणि अशी बेबी शेपची बिल्डिंग आहे क्या
याच्यात बसू शकतो.
व्हिडिओमध्ये गेलेले तुम्ही.
काम चालू आहे. शिड्याचं झाड चालत आहे. वळायला पाहिजे थोडं. आपल्याकडे येत आहे. टर्न झाला आहे.
Great example of contextualism, that green color reflecting almost exactly the color of the water. And you'll see, but back in the year 1900, the natural flow of the Chicago River was reversed. Lake Michigan is our main source of drinking water. Irrevocably, proverbial floodgates have been opened. They did this overnight, considered to be very Chicago of us. Sometimes Michigan flows into our river system, bringing us safe, clean drinking water. It's not there, and I'll look up ahead, and you'll notice that our entire lakefront is free and clear of any high-rise construction. That is everything east.
This building has been making history since it was conceived by the architecture and engineering firm Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. It only exists because of the land expansion and reimagination of the city after the Chicago fire. The building was designed to be the world's second tallest building and the world's first major mixed-use tower, meaning it would have both office, retail, and residential spaces. It was also the first of its size to use experts in the building's exterior, which helped it resist wind loads and allow for the operating platform. The first building was in 1970 as a John
would oppose him at every chance.
कोणती जाऊ दे ना.
So he fights really hard. He's divided in the press, scoring the private politicians for making it so difficult, but he was victorious. And because of Montgomery Ward, our entire lakefront has been preserved. It's all beaches, parkland, open to the public, and of course, no boats that could cover it on the way back in. Connected to the bridge at Lakeshore on either side of the water, you'll notice these Art Deco towers preserved from the original construction back in 1938.
हे बी ते सगळे ते फोकस करून बिल्डिंगवरती ते हे लावत होते ते त्यांनी
See a newer building complete back in 2021 with that blue tinted glass. 3 ascending towers, the tallest of which is just shy of 1,200 feet, becoming on the left, jutting out clear opaque alternating glass triangular shaped design. That is the Swiss Hotel, designed by modernist Terry Weiss. Here
तुमच्या मागून चालू आहे तिकडून हे चालू होतं म्हणजे तिकडे तरी व्हायचं बघ इकडे
तिकडे ते हे डॉक्युमेंटरी
It is significantly taller than Opera. The sun's right there, so just take a look. And now you can notice that shape of the Swiss Hotel as well. Okay, so now I will be moving over to the right, coming up under.
कानातले झालं तर
Continuing on the right side, shorter structure, windows protruding out towards the water. That's Nature Center design.
360 ऑब्झर्वेशन टॅक. हे नेव्हल पियर आहे. तिकडे आपण गेलो होतो.
नेव्ही पियर.
नेव्ही पियर.
नेव्ही
हां, नेव्हीचं नाही. नेव्हीचं नेव्हल नाही. तिकडे कोणीतरी स्विमिंग पूल पण बांधला आहे.
हे दिसतंय
क्लिअर
तिकडे त्यांनी लाईट हाऊस बांधलेला आहे तिकडे पहा. खूप लांब. समोर.
त्या साईडला
पाहिलं का
खेळायचं ग्राउंड आहे. बॅडमिंटन.
Stairs, Levisham Avenue, which are converting. And if you look up at that map, you'll see every number represented by the letter W for right now.
हा ट्रम्प टावर आहे. शिंगावाला.
बिल्डिंग पहिले कसं दिसतंय समोरचं
तुटल्यासारखी वाटते ना ती. तुटल्यासारखी वाटते ती. हे बघा इकडे स्विमिंग पूल आहे बिल्डिंगच्या छतावरती.
हां
पाहिलं का तिकडचं पाहिलं होतं मागचं.
हो
Master himself, Mies van der Rohe, and you can see all those great modern colonies. Dark in color, built on a grid, exposed steel glass curtain wall, no ornamentation. These, Vandermeer was known for saying less is more, and that is going to be reflected in all of his designs. This is actually Vandermeer's very last.
मस्त आले आज. इकडे उभा राहा तू 2 मिनिटं.
कुठे
तुम्ही दोघं इकडे उभे राहा.
As you will see in these towers, Goldberg said there are no right angles found in nature, therefore he
Brooklyn.
you have your home, parking, office space, dry cleaner, daycare, grocery store, everything you needed would be
Parking
contained,
area.
so conceptually you never have to leave. I know this is an old reference, but in the original Bob Newhart show, this is where his character lived, William Thomas. And then if we Center, 1914, designed by a guy named George C. Nichols. It's gone through a lot of changes over the years. So this one started off as a grocery warehouse, and for many years it was Chicago's traffic court. Traffic court has since moved out, so now it's a place people are excited to visit.
बीच.
या बिल्डिंगला कशा पायऱ्या केलेल्या आहेत वरती या समोरच्या.
इथे 30 डिग्रीमध्ये आपण असं वळून खालपर्यंत पाहतो.
खालपर्यंत करू शकतो.
That's how much it is. Okay, so look just up ahead. Now you can really see that ornamentation up there, and look up ahead to your right, those bronze sculptures facing the mart. They look like giant fence dispensers. These are the marching prince.
Where? This right here?
Yeah.
Probably because of the curve. If you go too far.
It look even more like that. My anxiety.
Please, sir.
Thank you. I'm so scared. Fired. That in the water, I couldn't do it.
reflection
Nice,
दिसते.
brand new.
ढगांची reflection
These
दिसते.
towers are drastically shaping apart from Wolf Point is where we're at right now. This is where the three branches of the river collide, the main branch, north and south. And the Nape Wolf Point goes all the way back. These old buildings were repurposed into modern space. You'll see all that right.
फुलचे remnant ठेवले.
Modern residential development on your right, all glass, by BKL Architects, and then just The East Bay Club is a health and fitness club to Chicago's elite. Members like Rock Obama, all the very important Chicagoans, hanging out here. On the edge of the East Bay Club, up ahead,
वरती त्यांनी कसं घालून बनवलं
आज व्ह्यू मस्त आहे बाकी.
डोम बाय डोम
1974 Memorial Society. Same architect who designed the Twin Towers in New York City. Initially, that was
सायकलच्या चाकांसारखी ही बिल्डिंग.
सायकल वरती असं गोल गोल
इकडे सगळे हाय राईज आणि असे एक्सलंट बिल्डिंग्स असतात. ट्रम्प टावर
ते ट्रम्प टावर.
हां
under the canopy or anything like that. I'll point around again when our captain turns the boat around. I just really like that vantage point. And then over here on your right side, very. So now as our captain is turning the boat, this area of the city behind you, over to your right, this is all called Goose Island. Goose Island is a man-made island, a planned manufacturing district. Big idea of our very first mayor, William Butler Ogden. Very field of dreams, if you build it, many years before the film with that same mentality. That's exactly what Ogden did. He created
ते एकदम सुंदरची बिल्डिंग आहे ना, वेगळी दिसते याच्यात.
शेखावत ट्रीटमेंटची बिल्डिंग सुद्धा पुढे मागे आउट होईल. जागा एवढी मोठी जागा आहे ना, पुणे लोकांनी विकत
ते वरती जर रूफ असतं ना त्याच्यात ते असे मार्बल्स लावायचे असं त्या टाईप येते मोठे मार्बल्स.
ग्रीनरी किती वरती सगळं.
represent major events in Chicago's history. At Point Airport, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, a true World's Fair substitute. This will be directly behind the Daily News. You'll see blue glass waterfall cascading down. Glass, X-bracing on the outside. This is a SWAT reinterpretation of the John Hancock building. Remember, saw the Hancock earlier, is really far away, fifth tallest in the city. This was designed to make a piece of that building sort of just fell off. Coming up on the right side, there's this really great array of architecture coming up, different eras, different styles, but this will actually be the oldest building. And then just up ahead on your right side, that first building across the bridge with the sloped
मिलेनियम पार्क.
इकडे उभं राहून मागचं घ्यायचं. बीम तुमच्या मागे आहे बरं का. तेव्हा आपण त्या कुठल्या इमारती दिसतात.
केलेलं आहे. त्यामुळे इकडे कोणी नाही आहे. मिलेनियम पार्कचा सगळी
हो ना, स्वच्छ आहे एकदम. हा हा
एकदम असे जुने कोथिक स्टाईलची रूझवेल्ट युनिव्हर्सिटी.
जहाज दिशा बदलतंय. एकदम हे दिसतंय
क्लिअर.
हा.
लाईट हाऊस बांधलेला तिकडे.
त्या साईडला
हे पाहिलं का ग्राउंड. रस्ते किती छोटे छोटे मस्त दिसतंय.
ट्रम्प टावर.
गाड्या किती मस्त दिसत आहेत छोट्या छोट्या.
बीचला बीच.
बीच पण खूप, आणि त्याचा आकार खूप मस्त दिसतोय बीचचा. झूम
Looking for like my anxiety. Thank you.
Then when you look up, you can see your finger hit the button. You don't even have to look.
आता सूर्य इकडे
I'm not sure whether it's
टाइम लॅप्स काढायचा असेल तर मस्त टाइम लॅप्स आपल्याला 2 तास थांबावं लागेल इथेच.
Sure, them taking a picture of this.
You're terrible.
You know how to do it so well.
I don't like pictures. I experience.
I'm pretty sure it's that one.
इकडे सगळे हाय राईज आणि असे ॲक्सिडेंट बिल्डिंग
सेट राहतो.
Excuse me. Can you take a picture? Thank you. From up top.
I know. Look at all the things that are next to each other.
हो
इकडून
इकडे आपण जेवण केलं होतं.
नाही मला नाही येणार ते.
मी घेतलं बरं का
हा, ठीक आहे. नाव पण लक्षात.
लिओनार्डो.
मला लिओ
फोटो काढतात तेवढे काढा काही नाही
अरे एकदम 9% वगैरे.
काय आता घरीच जायचं आपल्याला मेन ते परत ते ट्रम्प टावरचं हे लागणार आहे
काय?
हो मेन आपला या साईडला लागेल